Which is, case in point, he's a survivor. He does anything and everything to survive. He's an opportunist, but not to any ambitious degree. Think of Pycelle from Game of Thrones. He does enough to be useful so that he stays around and reaps some of the benefits that trickle down to him from the top, but he doesn't fly too close to the sun where he becomes a threat or a target. Of course, Paulie isn't this master strategist. We've seen that time and time again, especially with his conversations with Johnny Sack, where you see a stark contrast of levels of authority and competence and pay incomes. When you see Johnny just work Paulie, it makes sense as to why he's at the level where he's at. And yes, Paulie does get played here, but you have to also remember his objective and what he was trying to do. Because he felt like he was no longer on Tony's good side, he started to create a back door. And he does pretty well for himself. He does mind games like the Ginny Sack joke because he knows that's going to pull at Johnny's heartstrings. He clearly knows why Johnny's in Jersey, and he uses that to his advantage with the HUD business and costs Tony money. Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that Johnny, one, was already really smart as a person as is, and two, already knew what he was going to do before he started talking with Paulie may have gotten away with it. Furthermore, Paulie never got married, he never had children because he just didn't feel like it was fit for a mafia lifestyle. Because of which, unlike other members of the family, he actually limits his possibility of being a target. Wife and kids don't really fit in this lifestyle, and I think he's completely right. But by far his biggest reflection as a character and as a person is his relationship with Christopher. They are the ultimate frenemies, they're two peas in a pod, but yet they can't stand each other. Of course, this is also about the old generation versus the young, but even on a personal level, Paulie never respects Christopher because of his favoritism. To him, Christopher fucks up a lot. He never meets expectations. He constantly fails. He's arrogant and he never learns from his mistakes. But the irony is that's how Christopher sees Paulie, like exactly the same. But what makes it even funnier is that's how everybody else sees them. They're just too arrogant, too apathetic, too ignorant to really care or know about what anybody else thinks about them. In short, what they don't like about each other is what everybody else sees in them. But on a more positive note, I honestly do believe Paulie was more of an honest father figure to Christopher than Tony ever really was. The shit that Paulie puts Christopher through, for better or worse, are actual lessons that you should know if you are going to be a main man in the mafia. Where Tony lets Christopher fuck up, Paulie doesn't. And if you want Christopher to eventually be the new boss of the family, these are lessons that he needs to learn. And by the end of the series, after knowing what happens to Chris, Paulie's devastated. I think out of more than anybody else in the crew. If it wasn't really for the fact that they're in the mafia, I really do think that Paulie does care for Christopher to a certain extent. But the reality is he cared for Christopher as far as a capo could care for their soldier.